What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rangers Talk podcast. This is episode 33, and we're in the off season, so there's really not much to talk about. So we're just gonna ramble, probably talk shit about Winnipeg like we normally do. Probably,
Have to.
yeah. I mean, that's all
It's not a
we're known
Rangers
for.
Central stream without it. Or Rangers Talk, I should say.
Don't leak the rebrand soon. I don't know. I don't know if I'm actually gonna rebrand. I don't know. I'm too fucking lazy to even bother with that right now. But regardless, we're probably just going to spark random shit to talk about with this team because there's really not much else to say with this team right now. What I'm thinking is we'll just talk over line combinations. We'll talk about where we think this team will finish in the standings, and maybe we'll do a little over under for predictions with player stats for the season, which we probably did horribly on last year as well.
Yeah,
I think
I'm really
that-
curious to see about that, actually. I remember that one.
I think the worst one, when I set the over under for Kreider scoring goals, what I said at 40 or 35. And I think
35. I think.
Probably around the 40s.
No way he's touching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I did last year, but it probably went horribly wrong, the over-unders last year. I know the worst one was Vinny Trocheck for me. Vinny Trocheck,
Goals.
I thought he was going to be a point-per-game player last year, playing with
Oh,
Panarin.
yes, I remember that. We were saying
That-
Vinny Trocheck to the moon.
Yeah, I was high on Trocheck last year, but he's not fooling me. No one's fooling me this year. I'm familiar with their game. I'm not fooled. But we'll just talk, but we'll also answer questions in chat, laugh for MVP here. If anyone comes in the chat, because I doubt anyone on a Saturday in August is going to be watching a Rangers podcast. They're too busy at the beach in Winnipeg ice
Yep.
fishing, so trying to freaking get through the ice. But they're getting frozen in midair there, and they can't break the ice. But yeah, if anyone does have questions in chat, we'll answer it. But let's just right now with the way this team stands, because I don't expect or anticipate any roster changes whatsoever, unless the Rangers go out and sign Danton Heinen, which
Still
I
waiting
wouldn't-
for that.
I wouldn't be mad about that. That's the new Archibald here, so
Mhm.
let's get Heinen signed. But outside of Heinen being signed, outside of Kane coming back, because we will be there for both, what would you guys want as the line combinations? Not what you think the line combinations will be. What do you guys want as the line combinations, the way things stands for next season?
So the current team, obviously, we're assuming Laugh will be there.
Yeah.
Um,
Assuming Lafreniere is still freaking, because I don't understand how he's not signed on,
yeah,
August
this is
12th.
crazy.
and how has nobody offer sheet him? I mean, that just
I know. You might
that
as well
kind of
have
that's a red flag to me.
I know it's under enroll and everything, but if it's taking this long, but the way I would roll it out, I would have Panarin, Mika, and Kako on the first line. I think Panarin and Mika have to just stay up there together instead of splitting them up. They have good chemistry. They really complement each other, so I would definitely play them with each other, and then Kako with them, I think could go off for 60 plus points. I really do if it could stay like that. For the second line, I'd probably roll out Lafreniere, Hedel, and I'm gonna go Wheeler. Lafreniere, Hedel,
The wheel
Wheeler
deal.
on the second time. Yeah. And then third line, I'm gonna go Kreider, Trocheck, and probably VZ. And then fourth line, give me Goodrow.
The way you rolled your eyes saying good.
I can't say that man's face without bad facial expression.
It's obligatory. You just have to.
But yeah, Goodrow. Why am I like blanking? on the
Benino,
other two names
Pitlick.
there? Benino, Pitlick, yes.
Dicklick,
Okay.
yeah.
And, yeah.
So we'll get to that. I'll talk about it in a second. I just want to answer two things in chat quickly. We'll talk about the Carlson trade later. You guys know I'm probably going to rant about it because of the fact that I was vocal that Pittsburgh shouldn't get Carlson, but what do I care? They're screwing themselves over, so I really
Right.
don't care. And thank you for the $1 donut, New York Style 24. Keep up the great work. Love the videos and the podcast. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's interesting with Panarin and Mika together, because I really wonder if they're gonna let that ride for a bit longer than they ever have, because obviously they have tried it before. And then you said for the second line, you said Lafreniere, Hedel, Wheeler, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That I would definitely be in favor of. And then, yeah, I'm all for a Kreider, Trocheck, VC third line. I'm definitely all for that. The only thing that I might move around, and I just wonder what the top six, like, I just don't know how Panarin and Mika will play together. I really just get worried about that because it just hasn't worked before. But hopefully, with an actual coach having a system in place, things will be fine. But I'm just not sure. But we need the Kakko breakout season here. We need it more than anything.
I actually have faith in it, man. I do. I think Kakko, like, if Lavi just establishes him in that top six, playing with Panarin, Mika, he's going for 60 plus. I don't know if I could say the same thing about Lafreniere, but Capo, he's got the talent. We see the plays he can make out there. So I mean, I don't see a reason why he can't be a good NHLer. Like, I'm not in favor of those charts, really. I'm not a big chart guy, but you look at his advanced analytics, they are good. So, and it lines up with the eye test. So I really think Capo could have a big season.
God, I hope so, dude.
We need it. We need
He's
that more
getting
than
impatient.
anything.
Defeat the allegations of us not developing players, even though I think those are probably long gone at this point. But we got to probably get it closer than that. But yeah, we need Capo to be a good NHLer, because that's kind of what the season hinges on. If we really think about it, Capo, Laugh, Hedel, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's gonna make or break the season, because man, just imagine what this team could have done if those guys broke out the past 2 years and they came out of the gate strong. But C-Jets, what would your line combinations be?
These are a bit fucky, but I've been playing around with these ideas in my head for a few weeks now. Just, I want you to bear with me. All right,
Okay.
we're gonna work through this together. This is gonna be a kumbaya moment.
Okay.
All right. So line one, Laffy, Zibby, Kakko. Laffy's your setup guy. Mika's your shooter. Kakko's your guy down low, mucking and grinding, winning puck battles as he does. Honestly, is what I think the best part of Kakko's game is protecting the puck and winning puck battles down low. If he can get it out to Lafreniere, who could snap it to Mika, well, there's your setup right there. On the second line, I have Panarin, Hedel, and the wheel deal. Same concept as the first line. Panarin's your setup guy. Hedel's your shooter, and Wheeler's your guy that's mucking grinding down low. But the difference between Wheeler and Kakko is I trust Wheeler's passing ability a lot more than Kakko's. Wheeler is a multi-time 50-plus assist guy, multi-time 90-point guy. I'm trusting his ability to set up Panarin and set up Hedel. The third line, I have Kreider, Trocheck, and Will Cooley.
Okay.
The reason I'm putting in Will Cooley over Jim Lee Veasley is because I think Cooley has higher offensive upside today. And I think him being younger, he's going to be a little bit more hungry. And I don't think there's a world where it's a bad move to have VC and Cooley being the guys that kind of get flip-flopped in and out fighting for that spot. I don't think that competition is a bad thing. I think if Cooley plays 41 NHL games this year and nothing else, it's better than him playing 70 AHL games, and I mean that. For the fourth line, I have He Who Shall Not Be Named, Nick Bonino, and Tyler Pitlick.
Yeah. I'm all for. I've been on that bandwagon for 2 years now. I do have different line combinations than that for the first line, but I would support them putting Lafreniere and Kakko next to Mika. I've been on board with that for a very long time, and I think that would be a great idea to get them to hopefully start breaking out. The only question is, of course, you question if they will produce 5-on-5 because of the fact that one, Lafreniere and Kako haven't been great 5v5 producers themselves, and then Mika too. We know that most of his goals are on the power play, so you have to question the 5v5 production from them. But outside of that, I don't hate that at all. I really don't. I'd prefer VC in the lineup though over the guy that you didn't name.
Oh, dude, 100%. But the issue is, we know that shit ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, we know that ain't
We all
happening.
know that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin, Antonio Brown.
Even like it's so toxic and so bad that even in my fantasy universe, I can't even take him out. Like, look, he literally won't move. Like, say, look, he just won't.
Oh, I wasn't even sharing.
Fuck.
I didn't realize you were sharing your screen.
Oh no, you're good. But he won't fucking he won't leave. Just go away. Yeah, he's pretty much stuck there. Did you guys? I don't mean to segue real quick, but did you guys see what Arthur Staple talking about the Rangers needing to get a resolution for Lindgren, or they have to find a new left-handed defenseman next season, as if he's not a pending RFA?
I did see that.
A little nerve-wracking, no?
Very much is, but there's a name that
We will be
We
there for
actually talked about
Devon
off
Tays.
screen.
We will be there.
Devon Tays, baby, coming back to New York
I
need that.
for the right team.
I'd be more curious for Joe Pesci. I mean Brett Pesci. If he's available, he's a UFA next year.
Isn't he right-handed?
Brett Pesci.
Even if he is right-handed, there's someone else I'd rather get rid of aside from Lindgren, who's
Well, yeah, I mean-
clause next season.
Well, yeah, well, that's a different.
I will be there for Brett Pesci, Lindgren, Miller, and Fox as my top four. I'll be there.
No, I'll be there for when the cap goes up.
Mhm.
Because in my books, the Rangers are going to be allowed to spend as much money as they want.
I hope
Tays,
so.
Fox, Miller, Pesci. I will be there for that.
Yeah, I
But-
could eat that up.
For my line combinations, I have Kreider, Zibanejad, Kakko for the first line, just simply because of the fact that the analytics showed that that line worked. The eye test showed that worked. They just weren't finishing their chances and they weren't getting the points. So that's really my logic for that line. Panarin, Hedel, Lafreniere. Panarin needs to stop being a baby. He needs to grow up and just play with Hedel, simply put. And then Lafreniere, keeping him with Hedel makes sense to me. So I think that line combination would work. But the only question is Lafreniere on the right side. Will he be comfortable there? Not sure. Third line, Goudreau, Trocheck, Wheeler. Heinen will be there, though,
Hope
on
so.
opening night.
Heinen, baby.
But Goudreau, Trocheck, Wheeler, kind of like a shutdown line, even though Goudreau's really not even good at that. But
He shuts down as my hopes and dreams.
yeah, the chances of the Rangers winning the cup. But
Mhm.
besides that, Trocheck and Wheeler, I think, will still give good production from that line, along with good two-way play. So that's why I have them together. And then VC, Bonino, Pitlick is pretty much the fourth line everyone has, if not Barclay Goudreau down there. So, yeah, I think that you could just interchange those two. And outside of that, Bonino and Pitlick, I think, are locks to be on the fourth line unless the Rangers make a move that we don't know about. I also wouldn't be surprised, though, if Johnny Brzezinski, because these offseason videos are intriguing me. I know it's not against the greatest competition, but they're intriguing me. I'm getting interested with Johnny Brzezinski here, and I would not mind if there's a world where he could push Barclay Goudreau out of the lineup. I am so there. I'm first in line for that because please, God, get Barclay Goudreau off my favorite hockey team.
I'm working on it.
I just don't understand. We have all these players that could do basically all the same things Barclay Goudreau does, with minus the $3.6 million cap hit, which could be used to re-sign Tarasenko or Kane. Such a hard concept, I know, but as we say, I mean, we can't blame Chris Drury. I mean, who the hell wants him at this point? I mean, I thought about it more and more, and like the attachments you probably have to put there, probably not worth it, but I think he still could have maybe got something done. Because Josh Bailey, for crying out loud, what did he get attached with?
A second.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
but the only argument I have with Bailey is the
The
fact
year.
that he had 1 year left.
yeah.
Where
and he did go to
Goudreau, nobody is going to want to take him for that long. I think
4 years.
next year or the year after, they'll have a
Becomes
better
more
chance of
movable.
moving him, but
Yeah.
which they need to because they need every bit of cap space. I think if things don't go right this season, I think that's where we're going to see Goudreau moved. I think Trouba's going to get moved, and we're going to see a major shakeup finally. But we also can't count out Othman to potentially make the team. I
Right.
don't think he will, but there is a
Possible.
chance. Belziel's in the mix. Everyone's favorite Jake Lecision is still lingering around too. Riley
He's certainly
Nash,
still
they signed, so
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a couple of different ways they could go. And I think with the defense, everyone has the same exact pairs where it's going to be Lindgren, Fox, Miller, Trouba, Gustafson, Schneider. I think that's what everyone's predicting, but people do want the Miller Fox pair. I personally am fine with either. I don't think it makes a difference to me because I don't know if Lindgren and Trouba would play well together. That's just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I could agree with that.
I think that if anything, they should go. If they're gonna put Miller and Fox together, they should go Lindgren, Schneider together, and then Gustafson, Trouba for the third pair.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
God forbid they would put their captain on the third pair, making $8 million. They would never do such a thing.
True.
The only problem, unless you go Gustafson, Trouba on the second pair.
No, please get Trouba off my second pair, please.
God almighty, dude. We still have a month till training camp opens. I fucking hate this time of year.
Yeah,
I'm so depressed right now, dude. This shit sucks.
You and I both, because I'm freaking choosing to
the
watch
Mets.
preseason football over
Yeah.
the Mets tonight.
Yeah, same.
I'm watching the Eagles tonight. Fuck the Mets right now.
Those
Yeah.
were good last year, so we passed the time well with them. But this is just fucking ridiculous now.
It's so boring, dude. Just sign Lafreniere so the offseason can be over with, then trade for
Yeah, give us
Archibald.
some news. Resign Kane.
Then trade for
Come on.
Archibald. And sign Heinen.
And
Sign
sign
Kane.
Kane. Sign Kane.
Offseason done.
The more we wait on Patrick Kane, the more I think he's gonna sign in either Buffalo or Vegas.
I don't see
think
Vegas.
You-
I think
we-
it's really
dude.
Buffalo or the Rangers.
We say that. I don't count Vegas out on shit, dude. They'll fucking make it work. They make everything work, dude. No one counted them in for Jack Eichel, and they. Oh, Jack Eichel.
The only thing is, though, he says he wants to prefer to play on the
East
in the
Coast.
New York area. So like Vegas
He
is
should play for the
literally
Rangers. That'd be pretty
the
dope.
other way in the country.
Well, yeah, it's great that Barker Goudreau's clogging up some of that cap space for him, but
It's huge, actually.
And
It's
the
like
way
my
they're
favorite
gassing him up on the Rangers Twitter, man, just rubbing it in.
Trying so hard to make him likable, and like I'm sure he's a great guy. He's just not a great guy that makes $4 million a year almost.
Yep.
yeah, it's freaking ridiculous. But and then with the tandem in goal between the pipes, it's Igor and Quick. I don't think that's a debate unless Jonathan Quick is so bad. And
Gotta go
Benoit
on.
Lair literally can't even fix him at this point. He's that bad that Louis Domingue has to be
Oh,
resorted to, which I'm praying that doesn't end up being the case. And I'm praying the Rangers don't have to be in the market for a goalie at the deadline. But I
God,
think
that
Quick
sucks.
also got a modified no trade clause too. So isn't that just great? So
Yeah, he
backup
did.
goalies getting modified no. Hey, at least it's not a full no move clause like with Halak. At least we're making progress. Maybe next year it will be a 5-team no trade clause instead of 16. So
Yeah, really.
maybe we're
Speaking
making
of
progress.
Speaking of Halak, is he like retired or is he still free agent? What's going on with him?
I think he's still a free agent. Which
Come
I'm
on,
surprised
bring
no
him
one's
back.
signing him, but he might
Yeah,
want
he's
a lot of
solid.
money.
Maybe.
I think the one thing with Jonathan Quick, actually, because he has a modified no trade, not a full no move, if he's really not good and you can't trade him, you can send him down in the minors, and his cap hit's only 100K if you do that.
Yeah, that would. Hopefully, we don't have to worry
Yeah,
about that.
hopefully it's a bridge we don't have to cross.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, dude. Like, honestly, in the most ideal world, I think Kreider puts in 30. Laffrey finally hits 60 points. Kako scores over 20 goals. Mika scores 40. Fox hits 70 again. Gustafson scores 40. Goudreau gets traded. I don't know, dude.
Traded.
I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I'm happy and content with Nick Bonino, but I worry a little bit about Nick Bonino as a fourth line center at 36 years old.
Just because of the age.
Yeah, I don't know if he could play a full season and then play a full playoff and be effective the entire time.
I
I'm
mean,
sure he won't be like a full like time guy. Maybe like Brodzinski will get in there a little bit.
That's
I-
exactly who I want.
Matthews a little
well,
bit.
yeah. The good news is that I don't think Benino has to play the full season and get a full time role because they signed so much depth this offseason for once that they
Yeah.
could just move guys in and out of the lineup. And worst comes to worst, oh no, you have to trade for a fourth line center. That's
Right.
the least of the worries considering this team has been giving first round picks out for Andrew Kopp. So
Right. Well, dude, and then you look at right. Just going back to the Rangers' depth, you got Lecision, Riley Nash, Johnny Brzezinski, Brandon Peary. You just got so many guys
Brendan Perry,
that could just fill in.
who invited bro to the function. Brendan
That's fucking
Perry.
great.
Ay.
But yeah. So I'm excited though. I think that this roster on paper is a lot better going into the year at least than it
Yeah.
was going into last year and the year before too.
And you have outs. You have outs. Like because we have good enough players in the minor leagues, you have outs if these signings don't work.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no harm in the signings. They were all very low risk signings. So
Mm-hmm. I agree.
and the right wing depth, you don't have Sammy Blay or Barker Goudreau locked to play in your top six next year. The right wing depth going into the year was Kakko,
Yep.
Goudreau, Blay, and VC. So
Yeah.
you're already doing yourself better.
Yeah, it's definitely a good team with the limited cap space. I mean, Drury definitely did well to construct the roster. I mean,
Yep, he
Wheeler for
navigated.
800K was a steal. I didn't know how I felt about getting Wheeler, like when it was first reported, but I mean, for almost league friggin' minimum, you take that all day of the week when it'll probably give you around 60 points. So,
I remember when we were reading about it during the free agent frenzy live stream, we were like, "Fuck, they're gonna sign Wheeler. Like, it's gonna be like 2 or 3 million. Damn it!" And then we found out it was
Yeah.
800K, and I was like, "You know what?
And we're high fiving each other.
Yeah, we're a high five. Like, you know what? Hell yeah!
and
like,
the
dude,
champagne
Drury-
was back in the fridge.
Like I gotta say this because I've been pretty disappointed with Drury for the most part with how he's done as the Rangers GM, but the way he navigated this offseason, pretty damn impressive. To tell you, I don't know how the hell the signing I'm the most impressed with is actually the Eric Gustafson signing. How you take a 40-point defenseman and get him to sign for 50K over league minimum is insane to me.
Considering some of the other defensemen out there that got like at least $1 million, like
Yeah,
Gustafson putting
dude.
up 40 plus points.
Like, dude, I'm sorry, and people might disagree with me in saying this. I think I like Eric Gustafson on my team more than I like Matt Dumba on my team. And I think that's how bad Matt Dumba was last year.
I like him more than Klingberg too. I like him more
Yep.
than
Mm-hmm.
most Shane Gostisbehere too.
Yep.
I'd rather have Gustafson, or at least in comparison with the cap hit, especially. Like
Right.
I definitely would
Mhm.
rather Gustafson at 800K versus those guys making what 4 or 5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes me feel like though that the Rangers are going to bring Kane back, just because it took
Think
them a
they're
while to
getting
learn
low
about
cost
this 35 plus signing bonus deals,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Took 'em a
Patrick
minute.
Kane maybe on his birthday, November 19th. Count down the days starting now. Maybe he gets a little birthday
Fine
deal.
on your birthday.
Oh man. I wonder what next offseason is going to be like, because next offseason is where it could get a little bit hectic. With the
Cap goes
Lindgren,
up.
Kreider, and Trouba no longer have full no moves. Like it could get heated and get
It
heated
depends
fast.
on what they do in the season. If you have another early exit, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Drury has to
Yeah.
ask questions about the core and maybe moving a major core piece.
Like if the cap goes up to 87.5, which is what it's projected to be, we're going into the offseason with 17.7 in cap. You don't have a backup goalie signed. You have four defensemen signed: Jones, Miller, Trouba, Fox. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 8 forwards: Belzile, VC, Gaudreau, Hedel, Trocheck, Kreider, Zibanejad, and Panarin. If Kreider, Trouba, and Gaudreau are all gone next season, that's another 20 million on top of everything else you have. And next year's
Austin
free agent
Matthews
class,
is a Ranger.
that's what I was
Yes.
literally about to
With
say,
The next
The
3 free agency classes are loaded too.
are
Next 3 years.
absolutely, completely, and utterly redonkulous, dude. Like there are some heaters out there in free agency next season. I mean, like we just had Matthews, Stamkos, Elias Pettersson becomes an RFA again. Fucking give me that offer sheet, cousin. Shifley, Zook,
Maybe Stamkos to the
Gensel.
Rangers will finally happen after all
Imagine after all those
the
years.
talk. Yeah, after all
Yeah,
these
we
years.
love
Yeah.
getting guys in their late 30s.
Yep. But like, man, a lot could happen. I'm not fully set that this team is going to be together for more than another year. I think there's going to be a major shakeup in the core of this team going into the 24-25 season, and I'm absolutely here for it. I've already booked my ticket.
It really depends on what happens this season, like Nico said, because if they go to the conference finals or the cup, and then of course win it, I don't think there's any shot that there's major changes. But
I don't
if
know.
a first or second round exit, I think a major.
First or second.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's as dependable as depends diapers. I think we can win the cup this year, and I still think there'd be a major shakeup in the core.
Really?
I really,
I don't see that
I mean, think about it, right? When the Rangers went to the cup in 2013, 2014, our number one center, even though he might not have been at his best, was Brad Richards. And what do we do after we went on a cup run? We literally bought the motherfucker out. Just shows you how loyal the Rangers are to their players. I don't think that this team is going to be together after next year. I think it's going to be a major shakeup, win, lose, or otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it could
Get a little
be.
funky. It can get a little funky, man. I don't know. Mikko Rantanen is a free agent the year after. Mitch Marner, Jim Benn. I'm just saying, there's options.
Yeah, I definitely want to free up cap space over those next 3 years to target guys like that because obviously the Rangers are a very attractive spot. So I think it'd be not the hardest mission in the world to try and recruit some of
100%.
those guys.
And your biggest thing should be trying to impress Shesterkin as much as you can within the next year and a half because you have got to re-sign that motherfucker.
Well, yeah, that's really gonna depend also on everything really depends on what happens with Igor too. Like I really wonder if I just wonder if they're seeing what's going on around the league. Like if another over these next 2 years, say this year, I don't know, let's just say I don't know. I'm throwing an example out there of a team that just has a mediocre goalie, like the Leafs. Imagine they win the cup this year, and then next year it's another team with a mediocre goalie. Do the Rangers look at it as, is it worth even paying Igor when all these teams over the past however many years have been winning with mediocre goaltending, minus the Mickey Mouse Cups with Vasilevsky? Like, do they look at it at who is proven right now to be a system goalie? And the Lightning's old assistant coach admitted to that he's a system goalie. So the Rangers look at it as, okay, this guy obviously wins us more games. This guy obviously is the backbone of this team and it gives us a better chance probably to win. But is it better to improve in other areas than to just pay Igor? I just wonder how they're going to look at it. But if I had to imagine, the Rangers will not look at it from that perspective because they're just going to be blinded by what they've been doing for however long now. So I just don't imagine it being that way, but it could happen.
Definitely could. I mean, I wonder what Igor asked for. I mean, the highest paid goalie in the league right now is Vasilevsky, right?
No, still Bobrovsky. I think Bobrovsky's at 10.5.
Yeah, Bobrovsky. I forgot about Bobrovsky.
But Vasi's at 9.5.
I mean, Sorokin, what do you take? 8.5?
Yeah,
That should be literally. That should be like, I'm sorry, I love Igor. That should be the max.
Yeah, I agree.
the most you go is 9 at that point.
Yeah.
with them.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, yeah, the cap's going up obviously next season, so maybe that's gonna persuade him to ask for more. But yeah, if it goes above 9 mil, the number, I mean, you seriously have to consider
Letting him walk.
And
yeah,
hoping Dylan.
Yeah, especially if he's
good.
going
But-
for double digits. I'm sorry. You can't bring
It's
him
not
back
a
at
winning
that point.
formula. It's just like overpaid. I don't want to say overpaid because they deserve their money, but paying a goalie a large percentage of your cap has proven not to be the winning formula. Obviously, Tampa Bay is going to be the outlier there, but they also have players that take ridiculous discounts. Like they have I had a multi-time 100-point scorer, I think twice 120 or 110 plus point scorer in Kucherov, making what 8.5, 9.5. Like that is insane. That is absolutely insane. You just got to be smart about what you're going to do with your money. And I love Igor more than anybody else in the world, but you got to be fucking smart about how you push around this money because it could bite you in the ass.
Well, yeah, I really wonder too. We're gonna learn what Vasilevsky, like. Is he truly that much of a system goalie? Because the Leafs torched him in that first
Yeah.
round after the Red Wings coach who used to work with the Lightning just publicly said to the media, "Oh yeah, we set up this system for Vasilevsky because
Yeah.
he's not good against these type of shots." I wonder how much teams are going to abuse that, and I wonder what Vasilevsky's numbers are going to look like after the season. So we're going to see if what he really is, and then we really know. Okay, well, it was the team in front of him either way, and then Jordan Binnington, who is pretty much just a one-year wonder, was the goalie there. You had Holtby, who is not a superstar goalie by any
Right.
means. And then before that, Matt Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
Fleury, I think, is one of the more overrated goalies, too. Although he wasn't in net for that 2016 run. That was still Murray.
Yep.
And then before that,
Crawford.
yeah, Crawford. I mean,
He was always good, but not great. Like he was not
Mhm.
stealing games consistently.
I just wonder how many years it's going to take for teams to view goalies as the running back of
Yeah.
Right.
the NHL.
That's what it's going to turn into, I feel like, in a few years.
I mean, it should by now. Like, how much more data do we need
Like,
here to
yeah.
learn it? I think Vasilevsky is the only reason why teams haven't learned it, and why teams are still paying goalies
Mhm.
the big money. But
There's also a really, and this is not a slight on goalies. There's like some sort of romanticizing of goalies just in the hockey world in general. I mean, goalies are worshipped. I mean, they should be. They arguably have the hardest job. Definitely the most unforgiving job with eating vulcanized rubber consistently. But I think sometimes they're a bit overvalued in just because they are goaltenders, and just
Yeah.
because of
It's
how
not
they're looked at.
sustainable.
It's not. It's not, dude. And goalies get overpaid. That's when teams stop winning.
also another thing with goalies that you have to worry about is they're probably the most prone to injuries as well.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's another thing that they have to consider before paying Igor. But I don't know. I mean, these next 2 years we're really going to
Stretch
see,
for
unless
sure.
they end up extending him next offseason.
Which is probably going to happen.
I
To
mean,
be honest.
I'm just scared how much they're going to throw at him. I'm just scared. But I don't want to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
I do want to address this comment. I want to know, if you think the Rangers are making the wild card, who do you have ahead of the Rangers? Because I cannot envision a world where they finish
Devils
lower
and
than third
Hurricanes,
place.
100%. Devils and
I-
Hurricanes, 100%. But those are the gimmies.
I have the Rangers finishing second.
Really?
Yes.
And
I love your
you-
optimism.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't guess which team's in first and which team's in third.
Who do you have in first?
Carolina and
I-
third
I-
at New Jersey.
I agree. I agree with that.
I thought you
Because-
would've-
My logic behind all this is, with Carolina, they're the Atlanta Braves of the Metropolitan Division.
They are.
You cannot say that they're not going to finish in first place until it actually happens. You have to wait and see that happen before claiming that it could happen, because when are they ever going to be dethroned? Everyone thinks year after year, okay, this is the year they're going to be dethroned. Okay,
And
this
they
is
got
the year.
better.
And yeah, if anything, they got better this offseason, and it continues to happen. With the Rangers finishing in second, they got off to such a slow start last year that I can't envision happening again. That start last year was just horrendous, and Trouba never should have had to friggin' throw that helmet in the first place. And Gallant had no idea what he was doing. Laviolette's a far and away better coach, and I'm buying it more and more into Laviolette as time goes on. So that's another reason why. And in New Jersey, I think they're a great team, but I think that they also overachieved a bit last year, and I think that they're going to take just a slight step back from what they were, because I don't think Vanacek is going to have the year that he had. Like, he's not going to be consistent throughout the entire year. We saw his numbers start to decrease as the season went along, and as he played more games, I question how much he could play. Plus, on top of that, I mean, who's their backup right now? Because Blackwood's not there anymore.
Hips don't lie.
Oh yeah,
Is it
Shakira, hips don't lie. I mean, the only thing he's good for is taking shots right at the chest. He has quickest chest in the league, like you said,
Mhm.
CJet. So I don't,
Just in the league.
I don't think that that's gonna win them that many games. I don't think Dougie Hamilton's having the season that he had point wise that he did last year. I think Jack Hughes will have a similar point season. Timo Meyer for a full year will definitely help. Toffoli will help, but I just question: do they have
Defense,
a good enough defense? Like they have question marks on defense. Is Luke Hughes going to step in and be the real deal? If he was so good last year and he proved so much last year, why was he not playing playoff games for them? If I just have questions with that defense. And then they're also relying on Nemec coming in and being a name for them. And then their bottom six, I really don't like. I could see them being a team that again overachieves in the regular season, but then not being built for the playoffs because of the way that their roster is constructed. I think that they're an overrated team in that regard, that they just aren't built for the playoffs. That could change come the deadline, but as of right now, I just don't think they have the roster to win a Stanley Cup with the way their bottom six is constructed. I think they're too skill and finesse heavy, and there's really not, as much as we laugh at it and think it's stupid, but there's really no grit with that team or any like punch in the face with that team outside of what Curtis Lazar, which he wasn't even an everyday player for them last year. So, and then Tomas Nosek, I just don't think they have the roster to contend like they did last year. And then fourth, I would say it's a toss-up between the Islanders and the Penguins at this point. But I don't like either of those teams. I really don't. And that's why I question, how do you have, like, who's better than the Rangers between those two teams? Because there's no way you're saying Washington, Philly, or Columbus is better. So it's obviously between Pittsburgh and the Islanders. I don't see either of those teams.
I don't trust the Islanders, dude. I never do. They're always good for some reason.
That's why I think they finish fourth and they sneak in the wild card. And I think it's because of the fact that Sorokin is going to steal them games like he continues to. Mm-hmm. And it's just, the problem is that roster just never has a major shakeup. They never do. The major shakeup was Bo Horvat, and sure, having him for a full season might help, but even then, was it worth sacrificing some depth with Beauvillier and then Ratu to get him? I'm not sure about that. And
they didn't re-sign Parise, did they?
No, Parise's not back. That's a valuable piece that they're going to lose as well.
20 goal scorer.
Yeah, that's a valuable piece right there that is out of their lineup. And what, they're going to give those reps to Ross Johnson, who shouldn't even be paid $1.1 million a year when he cannot do. He doesn't do anything but fight. I mean, they do have Julian Gauthier. We do have to look out for that. But
which I was gonna say, the youngest forward on their roster is Julian Gauthier at 25.
That's just absurd. That's just absurd.
So I'm just gonna quickly. Their average age for forwards is 29.8 years old.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. That's just ridiculous.
That is insane.
And if it wasn't for Julian Gauthier, it would definitely be over 30. And if it wasn't for Barzal, they would be like mid 30s. So yeah, because how much more mileage does Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck have on them? I just don't trust that roster when it comes to winning in the playoffs either. Like, if Barry Trotz was still behind the bench, you would trust them more. But I don't think Lane Lambert is going to be. I don't think he's the answer for that team, which is why I think they could make the playoffs, but I don't think they go the distance. And then fifth is who is probably going to be Pittsburgh, who I think, call me crazy, I think it's ridiculous that they got Erik Karlsson, which I guess will segue into that trade talk. I just don't think it's a smart move for them. Like, sure, you get the guy who won the Norris, but he's not getting 100 points next year. We all know that. He does not play good enough defense. And you have a guy very similar in that regarding Crystal Tang. So who's playing on the second pair? Yeah. And whoever you do play on the second pair is not going to get the same points that they did last year, because one of them is not also going to be. They're both not going to be on power play one with the way the NHL is. It's just rare that two defensemen are on a power play at this point. So, and then obviously everyone's getting older on that team. That team is very old. 31.3 is their average age in the forward group. So if you want to talk old, Pittsburgh is
Jesus
the epitome of that. Dude. I like the Riley Smith acquisition, but I think that I don't like their depth in the bottom six at all, and I don't like their depth on defense. I think Letang, Carlson, and then outside of that, Graves is okay. Pedersen's okay, and then Chad Ruedel's going to be playing every night for this team. Like, I don't know.
Yeesh.
And then in goal, Tristan Jarry. I don't know with how much of a whipping boy he's been for them. I don't understand how he's still the goalie for that team. And then Alex Adeljevic is just not good either.
Mhm. Yeah,
Pittsburgh's a
I
weird team.
understand. I understand
I'll be back in a second.
why they made the Eric Carlson trade because, look, your window's closing in 3 years regardless once Crosby, Malk, and Letang are done. So, like, I guess you try and make a push for it. Yeah, I don't think the team is still that even near good enough to contend for a cup with the team they have right now. But I do understand it because what they give up? A first? It was really just a first, if I could.
Yeah,
recall.
first and then they had to trade a second to get to dump Petrie back onto Montreal. So the first, a second, and the only prospects they had, pretty much.
hmm Yeah, I don't know. I think they could definitely sneak in the wild card. I don't know where you have them
Yeah.
right now. You have them over
Definitely,
Islanders?
I have oh man, they're a playoff dude compared to Columbus, Philly, and Washington. I think they're better than those teams. Man, I don't know.
Mhm.
Them and the Islanders right now. We have to watch both teams play before I pass judgment just yet. But
Right.
I think on paper Pittsburgh has a significantly better roster than the Islanders.
They absolutely do. As you said, though, just the Islanders always find a way, and then with
They always find a way. dude.
Sorokin and that,
And Pittsburgh's half an injury away from this team falling apart.
yes, they definitely are. Because Jay Gensel too,
Yeah,
he's missing a
dude.
month. So
Well, dude, Crosby and Letang are both 36. Malkin's 37. Jeff Carter's 38. Carlson's 33. It's like all your best players are over the age of 33 years old.
yeah,
That is like that's a tough winning formula. That's like mid 2000 Rangers levels of desperateness.
it really is.
It's just bad, man. I don't know. I don't see a realm where Pittsburgh's going to be much better than a wild card team, but maybe I'm wrong. I just don't. Dude, their defense is really not very quick either.
No, not at all. They have
Graves,
Oh, it's the
Pedersen,
opposite.
Letang slowed
their
down.
Defense is not good. Ruedel's going to be playing every day for them, and I agree with what Steven said when they made the trade that it's a Glenn Sather type move to get
Yeah, it
Carlson. Like, you're getting desperate. You're getting a guy that's past his prime and is
Way
a shell of
past
what he
his
once
prime.
was. And when you're buying him at a high when we know he's not going to replicate that. I will give Pittsburgh credit for one thing because, again, I was wrong in that. I thought they were going to have to move way more to get Carlson. But
Now they're still over the cap. Now they LTIR Gensel, which they said they expect him to be ready by week 1. That puts them $79,000 over the cap with 12 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies.
Yeah.
wait, he's on LTR right now, though. So when he.
So the way Cap Friendly has it is right now, like here, Brent Seabrook right now is counting against the cap of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But once the season starts, he goes on LTIR and he no longer counts against their cap.
Right, but it has on Cap Friendly Gensel listed already on LTR. So is he. So when he comes off, is it going to be more than that 79,000?
No, so it's going to be 79,000, but then they have to send down one of their forwards, which would still leave them with 12 forwards, 17, 2 goalies. So they're literally going to have one extra skater on their roster to be cap compliant, unless they make another move, which they said they were not.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, I see on Cap Friendly, too. It does have Gensel on LTIR there, but...
No, yeah, you're right. I looked at it on an armchair GM just to double check. But, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they couldn't buy out or do anything at all with Jeff Carter.
Yeah.
Like, that's just absurd that he's still on that
That's-
roster.
That signing of Jeff Carter, and Jeff Carter is like effective in his own right, but not effective like $3.5 million effective. Now, I'm not paying like this that might be worse than the Barclay Goodrow contract, especially considering at least Barclay Goodrow blocks the occasional shot. I don't think Jeff Carter knows how.
Yeah, except he failed to block that Dougie Hamilton overtime winner
Right.
shot, but it's okay. But yeah, I I don't know. I have so many question marks with Pittsburgh. I could see them finishing fourth just because maybe the Islanders aren't as good and we're giving them more credit than we should be. But they're going to be fourth or fifth. I think those two are interchangeable. I feel like the Metro just has locks right now. I think the top three is locked. It's just a matter of what order. The two wild card teams or the two teams that are going to fight for a wild card spot are locks. We just don't know the order. Washington, I think, is the biggest lock for sixth place. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
it's a question, but even then, maybe Columbus does surprise us and they do finish sixth.
I
So,
could see that. I could see Columbus being over Washington just because the pickups on defense, getting Babcock, you never know what he could do with that team.
Mhm.
Also,
and we don't
Fantilli.
know what
True.
Carberry's about at all.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, and then I think Philly, even they maybe surprise us and they finish a spot or two higher than we think. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're locked for last, but it could happen because at the end of the day, this freaking league is just absurd and random shit happens. But
Right.
I think that your bottom three, your wild card, and your top three are all locked. We just don't know the order of them unless somehow, some way, Pittsburgh drinks from the fountain of youth here and they just shoot up the standings and we're surprised. But outside of that, I really can't envision much of a difference from what we saw last year with this division.
Yeah, just I think
Agreed.
the lock for last place is Philadelphia. I think Columbus is much better than Philly.
Yeah.
To tell you, the truth, I think Philly might be the only, and this is hardly a quote because it's the NHL. There's no such thing as an easy win. But if there was gonna be an easy win in the Metro, it's gonna be Philly. Even though they stole Garnet Hathaway from me.
Yeah, Garner Hathaway's going to make it tougher to win games against them, though. And John Tortorella.
Well,
Yeah.
right, like this is a Tortorella built
Good
team,
for them.
dude.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, you might win games against them, but you're not
You're
leaving
dominant.
that building without at
Mhm.
least one of your players bruised up after that night.
Right. It's yeah. Columbus. I think Columbus is a sleeper team that could maybe work their way up to a playoff spot. I think going from bottom to top, you'll see Philly at the bottom, and then you'll see probably. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would not be surprised if Washington was second to last.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Even if they are
Yeah.
healthy, I don't really see a whole lot about this team that's attractive. 35-year-old Nick Backstrom, 37 Ovi, but Ovi could be 110. He's still going to score 40. 33-year-old Carlson, 32-year-old Jensen, 33-year-old Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Kemper was mid last season. He's 33 years old now. It's like there's nothing really on the Washington Capitals roster. It's like, yeah, they're going to be good next year. I just don't see anything.
The more we talk about it, I feel like the more Washington's going to be in seventh. I found it interesting they
Yeah.
actually didn't extend Wilson. I
That's
thought
what I
they
was about to
should
get
have
Yeah.
to.
waited.
I
I didn't think it was a bad contract as everyone thought it was, but I think it still would have been smarter to trade him to get out.
Yeah, it's not a
They
bad
could've got
contract
rid
at
of him.
all.
And
It's just
this is
someone would have overpaid for him, and that's what they should have been looking for, is someone to grossly overpay for a guy that they're not going to need, considering they're going to be rebuilding. I'd understand if they had like these like top prospects that were, fucking nipping at the ankles, like ready to go play in the NHL and take over, but they don't. They have Alexei Protas, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, though, with Washington, and this also goes back to the conversation we had earlier on in the stream. I freaking pray that you're right, that if the Rangers do win a cup, that they still go out and they make changes, because you look at Washington, you look at Pittsburgh, you look at
Mhm.
all these teams that just reward their cup teams with
Yep.
big contracts and
Yep.
reward them by keeping them together,
Mhm.
trying to crack at it again, and it just never works. Pittsburgh went back to back, sure, but St. Louis has not sniffed it again. Washington hasn't. Like, you just look at the price that these teams pay, and then they end up overpaying and giving these guys contracts. Vegas is probably going to fall into that category as well, because they grossly overpaid Aiden Hill
Yeah.
for that cup run. So I really hope that you're right, that if the Rangers do win the cup, and that they don't shy away from making moves still, because the goal is not one. It's not the job's finished. We can go home now. Nikola Jokic. We got to try to win more. We're gonna go back to back, and we want to build a dynasty here. And
Well, dude, like look at even like I think the most prime example since the Chicago Blackhawks won their third cup and gave those $10.5 million contracts to Kane and Taves. This is like from 2015 to today. What's happened since they've won the cup? 2015 won championship. 2016 lost round 1. 2017 lost round 1. 2018 and 2019 out of playoffs. 2020 lost round 1. 21, 22, 23 out of playoffs. They haven't even been out of the first round. They've missed the playoffs more than they've made the playoffs. They've not made it past round 1 since winning their third cup in 5 years or 6 years, however much it was. Like, yeah, like you have to pay Kays and Tane. Sure. Why did they pay everybody else? That was getting older. Why didn't they make those moves to try to continue to expand that dynasty? Because Tays and Kane were 26 years old at the time. Like that should not have been the end. They could have gotten a lot better and done more, but they held on to the older guys. They paid them, and they just kind of sat complacent.
yeah, Chicago doubtful, and they brought back Brandon Saad like how many times?
Yep.
I just don't understand why. Yeah, them being both 26 when they signed those deals. How do you not squeeze out at least one more cup with them? Like
At least a
just
playoff
embarrassing.
run, dude. Like you getting bounced in the first round.
And they got embarrassed by Nashville in that 2017
Yes.
run. They were a wild card team. Like Chicago definitely they
dropped
fucked
the
that
ball.
up.
And also, like, if the Rangers lost, let's say the cup this year, like, look at San Jose, look at the Nashville Predators. I mean, they really fell off after those years that they made that run. So, the more
100%.
that I agree that we talk about it, I agree. Even if they lose in the final, gone to win the cup, lose conference final, there has to be some moves.
Even the conference finals too, losing there. You can't just accept losing in the conference finals. Look at the Islanders right now. They're stuck with the same exact roster because they went to back-to-back conference finals. Look at the Winnipeg Jets, who kept their core around for way too long. They went to a conference finals, and then they just ended up being like, okay, we'll break through at some point. It's just, you can't keep the same core around
No, you
and
can't.
trust that they're eventually going to get over the hump, because teams have before after knocking on the door a couple times. The Avalanche are another team that I think are going, like, everyone hyped up to be the next dynasty and to be this next great thing. I don't foresee that happening. I just don't.
Yeah. But at the same time, too, you also got to be smart about like what you do with your role players, like especially those that are at a decent age. Because after the Rangers went to the Cup in 2014, what happened immediately after, like I said earlier, they bought out Brad Richards, which I guess was a necessary evil, but they let Benoit Pouliot walk. They let Brian Boyle walk. They let Anton Strawman walk. And that 2015 team was no slouch. I mean, that was probably my favorite team in Rangers history.
Same with me.
But you lose guys like Boyle and Strawman, and you wonder if they're there instead of Dan Boyle and Lee Stepniak or whoever the other guys were that we had. The Rangers probably go to the Cup in 2015 and probably beat the Chicago Blackhawks. So you got to be smarter about managing the roster that you have. You don't overpay the guys, of course, but you also got to try to keep around the guys that are successful and at a young enough age where like you're not overpaying them for what they were before. It's a trick.
Yeah.
It's a tricky line that you have to walk.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I think that it's fine if you're paying like the top guys, but like some of these guys that are getting paid just because they were a part of the team, like Barclay Goodrow, who's on the Rangers. Like, why is he getting paid that much? Yeah, just because he won back-to-back cups, cool. He wasn't the reason why. He didn't win the Conn Smythe or anything. Like, that's one thing. But
he was not the main character, that's for sure.
He was
not at all.
He was a piece of the puzzle. He wasn't the piece.
Yes.
He was a piece. He was like a piece. He was one of like a piece like on the border. Like, oh yeah, I lost this piece. You look under the rug. Oh, there's the piece, and then you just plug it in and you move on.
I just don't understand why GMs don't learn this. Oh wait, because it's the NHL. But GMs never freaking learn. Look at the contracts that Coleman, Gord, and Goudreau all got. And the Anaheim Ducks, what do? They still go out there and give Alex Killorn a stupid contract just because he won 2 cups with Tampa Bay when he was not by any means the main character.
Yep.
So teams will never learn though.
No,
They'll never learn at all. The NHL won't learn until maybe like 2015. And it's like, oh, We
There's
were
only- there's-
wrong all along.
There's only one depth piece from those Tampa Bay teams that I would have grossly overpaid. I think you'll know who it is if you guess for a second, or would have overpaid to acquire
Wait,
from those Tampa Bay teams.
From
A
the
non-top
Tampa Bay
6.
teams,
a non-top
was
6
not a-
player
top
Mhm.
6.
that you
He
would
was not in their
overpay?
top 6 when he won.
Is it Yanni Gord?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would have overpaid the
Not Blake Coleman as well, right? You
Fuck.
said 2.
just Yanni Gord.
That's another Barkley Goodrow.
Well, yeah,
Especially
Yanni
considering
Gord
Yanni
was-
Gord's making less than $1 million more than Barkley Goodrow.
Yanni Gord was the main piece of that third line.
Mm-hmm.
He was,
He was.
He was so
he really
good.
was.
yeah, and like he proved it before those two got there. Like Goudreau and Coleman just stepped in and played with him, and all of a sudden they spiked a bit in production and
Right.
spiked a bit in play. But Yanni Gord was the engine of that line.
Yep. Kid's so good, dude. He's still killing it in Seattle.
Yep, and he always kills the Rangers. Always.
Lives to
Nice.
kill the Rangers.
I'm so glad him and Killorn are out west, though.
Yeah, that would
the
not have
two
been fun if they would have
Rangers.
stayed in the East.
But it's okay. We'll play Seattle in
At
the
least
cup,
a
and
lot.
Yanni Gord
I
will be
mean-
right there.
Yeah. Palat had to stay, though, and come to our division with our
Right.
biggest rival.
Dude, like, I still think the winner of the offseason is the Carolina Hurricanes, and the only reason I'm saying that is because they were already probably the best team in the Metro, and then they go out, and those mother effers get the player I wanted the most in free agency, aside from Archibald, of course, which was mother fucking Mike Bunting. $4.5 million.
really? Yeah.
He
I'm-
drew more penalties than Connor McDavid. Like, come on, man.
I just question what they're doing with the defense, though. Like, what's
They still have a good defense, though, dude. Like,
they do? But
Slavin, Shea,
what's the
Pesci.
plan with the defense? They have too much depth, which isn't a bad thing. But
no, yeah.
like, why did they? Tony DeAngelo, why is he on this team? Like, you already have.
I think that's a power play move because their power play was not very good last year.
Sure, but their power play wasn't great with Tony DeAngelo either. And you have
That's it,
guys that
yeah.
could run the power play with Burns, who I think is still
Mhm.
going to get the top power play minutes. Orlov could play on power play too. You have Slavin, you have Shea, Pesci, and then DeAngelo. And now what? Chatfield's just going to ride the pine, which Chatfield's a very solid piece for them,
Mhm.
an underrated piece for them. And I would have just stuck with him over DeAngelo, but and then
What did they pay D'Angelo? What are they paying him?
1.6.
But honestly, dude, I mean, what did D'Angelo have? Like 52 points in 60 something games, or 40 something points in 50 games?
This
for
is
that?
like an Eric Gustafson if you really think
Yeah.
about it.
yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, we know that he doesn't play defense, and the
Yeah.
difference between Gustafson and like the Gustafson fit with Carolina, and then versus D'Angelo with the Carolina fit, the Rangers had a need for another puck moving defenseman.
Yeah.
Carolina already had
They didn't
had two of them with Orlov and Burns. They did not need to go out, and even Brady Shea
I
was
forgot
putting
they had
up
Burns.
a ridiculous amount of points. Like, they did not need another guy to chip in offensively on their blue line. And what, they're
Yeah.
gonna maybe move Pesci now, where he was kind of what him and Slavin were the two guys shutting down for that defense. I just
I
don't
think
think they needed to. I
I
just
wonder.
question-
I wonder if that's like a Brindamore move though, because apparently Brindamore really liked D'Angelo, and I wonder if he just got in the ear of the GM, and the GM just did that to please him.
which I
We've seen it
Britamore's a
before in
great
the
coach,
NHL.
but, like, I don't understand. Like, to me, I'm saying to him, we don't need D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Like, this defense needs balance. It doesn't need to be all puck movers. Like, there's going to be too much puck movers on the blue line, and how much of is the defense going to be effective? And I just question how far. I don't think they're going to be built again for the playoffs because of the fact that they're like New Jersey, where it's like I don't know. Well, not in the regard of the defense, but like I just question with that defense. Is there too much puck moving with that blue line and not enough
Mm.
shutdown ability anymore? Where I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. Plus, they have the three goaltenders, which I question.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's a
Yeah.
horrible system.
I
This is
do
the
like
thing
their
that's not gonna
offense
get
better
around.
this year than last year. Although I don't know why Brendan Lemieux is still on an NHL roster. is just not a good hockey player at all.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they got Tony DeAngelo. They had to bring Brendan Lemieux in to go along with
They
them.
had to bring his best.
They had to
buddy
bring the Watch Your
along.
Tone podcast back. So.
Dude, I still think though that Michael Bunting was the signing of the offseason. I'm sorry. I think that guy is that
They-
fucking good.
Yeah, for
he's a
that
good
price,
player.
that was a solid signing.
That's
They
what I
got him
wanted,
and
man.
Orlov, like the sneaky, like two.
Oh,
some
yeah,
of the best players on the
Orlov.
free agent market. Yeah, I give him props for that, but I just don't see this team like getting over the hump. It's just like
No.
they got to blow it up in a few years when it just the same results they get, in my opinion. I don't know
I
how you
They
can do
scare
it.
the shit
but
out of me though, dude. They really do scare the shit out of me. Especially if Seth Jarvis takes another jump too, and then Svechnikov comes off of IR. Like they did all that in the playoffs last year without Svechnikov. They
You're
still
right.
frighten. If there's a team that scares me the most in the Metro, it's Carolina.
Yeah, but the Rangers, one, have seemed to have their number over the past few years, and then two, again, I don't trust that defense. I really don't. I think they were better last year defensively, having Chatfield play versus putting DeAngelo in. Unless DeAngelo's scratched, then I don't know how much I trust them. And I truly think the way things stand as of now, obviously things will change at the deadline, but with the way the rosters are constructed and the way that everything is set up now, I think a Rangers Leafs conference final is the most realistic with the way that the teams are set up and how they
Yeah.
play. But again, things will obviously change. We know Tampa's always in the race and they're going to be better. I think they had a sneaky good offseason, not just because they got Archibald, but I think Connor Sheary was a very underrated
Yes.
pickup for them. And I think that he's going to all of a sudden be a great player. Tanner Jeannot is not going to be that bad like he was when he first came over. To me, that's kind of Hagel vibes with Jeannot, where he came over, wasn't that great. And then all of a sudden, Hagel this past year, having a full season of training camp and everything, all of a sudden we saw the Hagel that we expected Tampa to get. So I fully expect Tampa to be still be a very good team. And then Boston, I mean, I don't know. They'll make the playoffs just because it's Boston, but they don't have a legit
much.
center core. But I expect them to get Mark Scheifele by the trade deadline or get a legit center by the deadline.
Maybe Elias Lindholm, yeah. I'm
Ottawa-
surprised. I thought they'd get one of those
Ooh.
teams this offseason, but it looks like they're pretty much on with their moves. I don't know what's going on in Winnipeg. Like, I know we love to bring them up, but like, which
They're building the
and
Baskin Robbins.
Hello,
Haven't you heard
Bob.
the news?
I just don't understand. Like,
Yeah, they got to
I mean,
pick
I
a
guess
path.
trade deadline.
They have to pick up. I think you get more value for a guy if you trade him now than at the deadline, though. Like a guy like
Yeah, you get the full
Scheifele or
year of him.
Hellebuck. Yeah,
For
dude, even
sure.
like Brendan Dillon, like he's a solid defenseman.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think by the deadline we'll see a lot of those names gone, but again, with goaltenders at the deadline, it's tricky because I feel like they have less value then, and it's rare that a goaltender goes to a team at the deadline and all of a sudden is good. Like, when's the last time it's happened?
Yeah, you rarely see that. Like, when's the last time a goalie got traded and like stepped in to be the number one?
Been a long
Not just stepped in to be
time.
the number one, but like stepped in and helped their team
Yes.
get over the hump and win the cup, which is why even if New Jersey, say at the deadline, does get Connor Hellebuck, I'm still not too scared of them because of the fact that it's like, sure, they're a better team at that point, obviously, with Hellebuck, but it's like it's rare that a goaltender steps into a team and is good because it's more than just stepping in and playing your game as a goaltender. You have to learn how the team plays in front of you. You have to learn the way everyone's position. It's just there's a lot that goes into goaltending. It's more than just stepping in there and doing your job, where with a forward or a defenseman, it's more just, okay, you learn the system a bit and then you play your game. Goaltending, it's a completely different animal. So I don't know. And then outside of like Toronto, the Rangers, Tampa, like those are the teams I see as, and then Carolina, of course, those are the teams I see as the four threats for the conference final. I think that you have Ottawa, I don't think could be a threat because they don't have any experience at all. And I really don't know if they even make the playoffs. Buffalo has no experience. Detroit has none. Like all these teams just don't have experience at all. Florida, I think, takes a big step back. I really don't trust
I see them
Florida.
being like the Montreal Canadiens after, and then
Yeah.
not like last place bad.
Yeah.
But I think they can be down there.
Yeah, I think that they missed the playoffs this year. Montour and Ekblad are going to miss part of the year. I think Kachuk might miss part of next season too, but I know for sure Montour and Ekblad will. So I think that's going to. And outside of those two, look at their D core right now. Like, come on, you can't tell me that D core is good enough to win them and get them to the playoffs. They have Forsling, who's solid, Mikkola, Ekman Larson, Mike Riley, Dmitry Kulikov, Josh Mahora, Lucas Carlson. I mean, that's not a good.
Oh man.
And then Brovsky's, we know that what he showed in the playoffs last year isn't what he is. Like, we're not fooled. We're familiar with his game there. Kachuk, will he have that strong of a season again? Because he's probably very banged up from the playoffs last year. Barkov, I think, will take a step forward from what he was last year. I think Barkov had a little bit of a down year. Verhaeghe, is he going to score 40 again? I don't know. I think Florida is a questionable team. I think that maybe they'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to do damage like they did last year if they do make it. And then there's Montreal, which they're not going to do. They're not a threat at all. Yeah. And then
it's so hard to predict, but I think you laid it out pretty well, like with those tiers. It's gonna be tough.
And Montour had a career year too. It's like, is he going to be able to replicate what he did last year? I don't know. I just don't see, unless with the way things stand right now, because again, things could change by the deadline, but with the way that the rosters are right now, I just don't see a world where the Final Four isn't Toronto, some combination here, some mix between Toronto, the Rangers, Carolina, and Tampa. But
that's what I hope.
That's what we said last year with certain teams, and then Florida surprised us. So it could happen. A team could get hot, but just with the way things are laid out right now, I just don't know. I don't see it going any other way. But for all we know, Buffalo is going to be that surprise team.
Dude, they could be.
And they're mad that Jack Eichel won a cup.
I got to get ready to hop off here, boys. It's 1:45.
For sure. Well, I'll probably run for a little bit longer.
All right. You boys, deuces.
See ya.
Peace.
And then
I can see Buffalo being that one team, to be honest, that will make that be like the Rangers at 21, 22. I don't know about Final Four. That could be a little outrageous, but maybe around the playoffs.
They're banking so much on Levi. That's the only thing here. Like, they're putting so much pressure on that kid for them to be a good team. But I don't know. Even with Buffalo, like, sure, Dahlin could be a Norris caliber defenseman, but outside of that, I mean, Matthias Samuelson's nothing special. Connor Clifton, Eric Johnson, Ilya Lyubushkin, and Yoki Haru. Like, I think their defense is spotty. The forward group, Tage Thompson, of course, is solid, but Jeff Skinner, he actually had a very solid year last year. Is that what he is again? Like, did he find his game, or is he going to take a step back? They do have a bunch of young guys who, of course, could take a step forward, but I don't know. I question Buffalo, too. I really question. Like, the Atlantic's such a tricky division to try and figure out and piece what's going to be. The only safe lock, I think, for the playoffs is Toronto, and then Tampa, but Toronto, I think, is like the lock for first place. I don't see any team threatening them for first place.
Me too. I think Toronto, they're definitely locked. Tampa, I would say like a little tier below on them, but I think they're still probably about a lock. It's really tough. I don't know how you rank the three teams of Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit, like three teams that missed the playoffs, but like they're up and coming. Like you have Ottawa, I'm assuming, as the best, right? Then Buffalo, then Detroit, is it? Because I'm not impressed with Detroit either.
No, their defense is freaking awful. And Ville Husso, I don't think is a great goaltender. I mean, it's mainly the defense though for me. I mean, Ben Sherratt being their highest paid defenseman, Shea Gostisbehere, Justin Hall, Jake Wallman, Oli Mata. Sider's good, but had a bit of a down year. I expect him to bounce back, but I don't trust at all that defense outside of Moritz Sider. I think that defense is that's a bad decor. I think Detroit's being overrated, but again, I could be wrong. This is why I'm not going to be mad with my predictions going into the year with the Atlantic Division, because
It really
if I'm
can go a lot of
wrong,
ways.
yeah, it could go any way. Like, you have to hit the lottery here if you're any of these teams that are trying to get back in contention. I think Ottawa actually got better. Call me crazy. I think they got better with losing DeBrincat because they were able to add depth. I think Dominic Kubalik and
Kubalik is a
Tarasenko.
good return, yes.
Tarasenko is
That's
basically
true.
your DeBrincat
Because you weren't going to
replacement.
get him. Yeah, you weren't getting Tarasenko if you still had DeBrincat around. So you basically had two there. Got the picks. They got in that Corpusalo.
They have a full year of Chekren.
Yes. I definitely think Ottawa's the best there, and I think they'll make the playoffs. Even with Detroit too, like their offense, I think is overrated. Like their second line is projected to be Berggren, Comfort, Perron. Like, yeah, they're all solid. That's more of like a third line to me. And then Fabry, Cop, Sprong. I like Sprong a lot. Sprong was a good pickup, but Cop was, I mean, really bad last year. So who knows what he's
He
gonna
had
be.
single-digit goals, right?
Yeah, he had 9 goals. He didn't even hit 10.
I mean, that's
So-
what I would say. It's a down year, but that's just what Andrew Kopp is, and that's what we said when the Rangers acquired him at the deadline, that he's nothing more than the third line center, and for whatever reason,
Yeah, we forced him on that second line with Panarin.
yeah, and they saw what he did with Panarin, and everyone thought, oh, okay, well, that's what Andrew Kopp is. When no, that's not what Andrew Kopp is. He's a third line center at heart. So the only problem with Ottawa, though, to get back to them, I don't trust DJ Smith at all as a coach. I think he's a bad coach.
DJ Smith.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think he's all that either, to be honest. And I just don't see it. Like I think Ottawa, like I think they can make the playoffs, but like I just don't see anything more than that. I think they definitely need to get rid of him. I thought they would get rid of him honestly this offseason, but I think next offseason is when they should. But even though they might be blind if they make the playoffs, like, oh, we're making progress here and keep them around. So
Yeah, that's the issue for them. But I every time, like, now that we're talking about it, it's making me question how I want to lay out my predictions here for the Atlantic and how I think things will shake up, because I really just don't know. Because now I'm like talking myself into Florida being a bit better than I'm giving them credit for. Granted, I don't trust their defense at all, like I said, and their goaltending, but I think maybe they'll be better than Detroit still.
yeah, I
Like,
think now that we talked about it in Detroit, they'll be better then.
I think
Maybe
Detroit's going to be
Buffalo.
7th.
Yeah, were they 7th last? No, they were not 7th last year. Or
They might have been.
they were 7, yeah. I mean, they had 80 points. That's not really a 7th place caliber team to have that many, but I think it's gonna stay that way. Ottawa, I think will take the lead. I think if you swap Ottawa and Florida, and then Tampa and Boston. Oh wait, no, Toronto and Boston, and then Tampa swap with Boston. 1 Toronto, 2 Tampa, 3 Boston, 4 Ottawa, 5 Florida, 6 Buffalo.
I
Actually,
would
no,
put
5
Buffalo
6,
above
yeah.
Florida still.
5 Buffalo, 6 Florida, 7 Detroit, 8 Montreal.
But
Probably what I'm looking at right now.
But then
Maybe Ottawa over Boston.
Now I'm questioning with Florida too. It's like Paul Maurice is a better coach than Don Granato, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The Atlantic is just such a weird division. Like, it's got Toronto, Tampa, and then one team. Like, let's be honest, whoever's third in that division probably doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Definitely
And
not.
I think we're gonna see a world where I wouldn't be shocked if I really wouldn't be shocked if whoever finishes 6th in the Metro is better than, or at least close to the caliber of whoever finishes 3rd in the
Yeah.
Atlantic.
I
Unless
can
there's
see that.
something that happens at the deadline that we don't see coming. But
Speaking of the deadline, like what names would be available? Is Like, why are people saying Buchnevich? He's expiring? I didn't know he's expiring.
Is
Oh,
it?
no, I don't know. He's not expiring. I don't know why I thought I saw people talking about.
Unless he has 2 years left.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
could see St. Louis shipping him out now because they get a better return.
well, yeah, if they want to
But
rebuild, that's what they
yeah, I don't know what
should
route
do.
they're going.
But how many years does he have left? He has, yeah, he has 2. So people are probably looking at it as like
Mhm.
a Hagel type deal where it's like, okay, you get an extra year of control
Yeah,
on Buchnevich. I wouldn't mind the Rangers correcting their
Duke.
mistake there and bringing him back.
That would be something. But did you see? I don't know if you saw. I think it was Arthur Staple. He was saying like about Buchnevich, like Drury didn't really like the player. I don't know if you saw that.
That doesn't
Like,
shock me considering he traded him for peanuts. Like you
yeah.
have to have something against him to be trading Pavel Buchnevich for peanuts. And I don't know. I just don't see why he thinks he didn't like why he didn't like the player. Sure, he wasn't the best in the playoffs. Like he had 11 points in with the Blues, but he had 1 goal that playoff run. That's not
Yeah.
really great production. I don't know. I mean, I get if you don't like the player, you move him, but why are you settling for a fourth line player and a
Hmm.
second for a guy who broke out and that people have belief in? I think that I'll say this. I think that Buchnevich is definitely starting to become an overrated player in the league. Like people say that he's underrated, but so many people are saying he's underrated to the point where I think
Yeah,
he's
it makes him
overrated.
overrated.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like the player. I think he's a solid player, but I don't think he's this elite player that
Yeah,
people
people
are.
say he's like a elite first line winger, which is definitely not the case. He's a first line winger, nothing more. He could even be a second line winger if we're being honest on like good teams. Like if he's your first line winger, I mean he's solid for it, but I think he could be like a second line winger on like good teams.
Hold on a second. I might have just made us have to start a dialogue here.
Really?
I might have just found something that might have us starting a dialogue. Um,
Love to hear it.
so there's still a free agent winger out there. It's not Patrick Kane because I love Kane and I would love him back. But
I think I know who you're talking about.
Tomas Tatar is still a free agent.
Yes.
Why are we not starting a dialogue for the Rangers to pursue Tomas Tatar? You're adding 20 goals into your lineup, 50 points,
Hmm.
and the guy's possession metrics offensively are off the charts. He has never been in his entire career below 50% in Corsi at even strength. And he is he's been well above it recently. He was 57% Corsi 4 at even strength last year, 58 on Montreal in 2021, 60 on Montreal the year before. Like this, they freaking have the puck when he's on the ice, this team.
Hmm. Yeah, he's really going under the radar as another good name as a free agent right now, just because the pure fact you have Patrick Kane like overshadowing him uh, in the like winger position of the class. But if you don't resign Kane, I mean, you got to take a look at Thomas Tatar. I don't know what the asking price is there, but I mean, as the days go on, he's
Can't be
losing the
high.
leverage. Yeah, so I think like like a $3 million, even like 2 million maybe, if he's like willing to take that discount, the Rangers can make it happen. And that would be a very solid player to slot in and play like with Kreider, Trocheck. Imagine a Kreider, Trocheck, Tatar third line. That would be that would be a really deep team right there. They should. We need to get this agenda pushed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple free agents where it's like, why are they not maybe exploring these guys? I don't like. I know Donskoy he's been kind of injury prone lately, but I wouldn't it doesn't hurt to take a look at him. Doesn't hurt to take a look at Tatar. Um I don't know how Paul Byron is these days, but he's still available. Pulley RV, the Rangers maybe finally take a flyer on him, but you have guys that they could sign the PTOs. Do they bring Carl Hagler
Yeah.
back on a PTO?
Well, yeah, I think we could see something with that, for sure. I mean, they did it with Easy. I think they will definitely bring in one of those names if they're still around by training camp for a
Tyler
tryout.
Mott is still available, man.
He's still there. I really think like this is the same situation as last year. I don't know if I see a spot for him in this lineup, but like I'll bring him back if it's for like very cheap. Like why not?
This free agent class has some names still, like, and it's not talked about enough at all.
It's not. Like, is there like how about like in terms of defense? I know the Rangers don't need defense, but like I'm curious, like to see.
Clefbaum, who unfortunately isn't going to play anymore. Gardner's not going to play
Yeah.
anymore. John Moore, probably not going to play anymore.
Mhm.
Ethan Bear is probably the top defensive
Ethan
name,
Bear, yeah.
which the defense, Nick Holden.
Oh boy.
I mean, yeah, the defense does not have great names unless you go to the RFAs where Jamie Drysdale
Yeah.
is still
Oh,
unsigned.
speaking of RFAs, I mean Trevor Zegras, we're seeing him a lot around a lot of Rangers players. Like, I know it's like impossible now, but I think Zegras will definitely be a Ranger one day. And he wants to be a Ranger. You could just tell that. From New York, grew up a Ranger fan.
That would be freaking.
That
That'd be
would
nice.
Scenes.
That'd be nice to have some talent here. Austin Watson's a free agent. That's a guy though I am very against the Rangers looking at Austin Watson. You
See the
dive
guy
into
that
hurt Mott,
like,
yeah.
yeah, mine.
And it's not just because he hurt my boy. It's also because of the fact that if you just do a deep dive into how Austin Watson is as a player, he's not a good hockey player at all.
Yeah.
Like that's part of why he's unsigned. He's just
Mhm.
simply not a good hockey player. But then but on the same end, you do have good hockey players who aren't signed. But again, the problem is that 90% of the GMs in the NHL just don't own a computer, so they just wouldn't know that
Not at all.
that some of these players are good, like Heinen.
It's crazy.
Comtois is a decent name, but he's not going to be signed because of the whole 2018 World Juniors thing, because he was likely a part of that.
Oh,
So I wonder when we're going to see the suspensions there, because apparently they're going to suspend.
Yeah, I saw it was like
guys-
some significant names. Probably like a week ago I saw it or something.
Who are the names?
No, they said like there's gonna be like some hefty suspensions and like quote unquote significant names are like involved. So
I don't know. Significant names. I mean, aren't the two guys that are like the guys that are pretty much locks at this point are Comtois and Formanton. Like I think those are the two guys that we know at this point.
yeah.
But big names. I thought McCarr was confirmed to have not been part of it, so like that's a
Yeah.
significant name. I thought Carter Hart. I don't know if Carter Hart was or not.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely gonna find out soon.
Oh, Brett Howden, a significant name because he won a
Yeah.
cup now.
Brett Howden, the Cup pedigree. Surprised the Rangers don't make a move for him. That's just the thing, man. I don't understand with the Rangers. Like like Jonathan Quick. Like all right, whatever. Like that's not as much, but like the Barclay Goodrows, who's the other moves? Like Tyler Pill. Like he wasn't on the Blues that 2019 season.
I don't think so,
Bonino.
but you don't have like
Okay.
Nick Bonino. You don't have to pay for a premium for cup experience to be on your hockey team. Like I don't understand it at all either. But again, the freaking GMs just never learn their lesson for whatever reason, and I just don't understand it at all.
They do not. They do not at all.
Yeah, I don't know, but hopefully we'll be able to see one of these guys become a Ranger, preferably Kane, of course. We need
need
that
it.
more than anything.
I mean,
need
it's
Kane
gonna take
back.
so long. I just want it to happen already. I mean, I guess they would have to wait till November, if anything, right? Or could they like, if they were to sign him now, like, could they do the signing bonus, or they have to like wait till
No,
he's
he
officially
has to be 35.
Yeah, so that's why I imagine if he's back with the Rangers, it's gonna be like right around that time frame of November. Anyways, regardless, because that'll be like around when he's almost close to full health. I don't know, man. I think Patrick Kane, if he takes just like 1.5 to 2 million, it's just gonna pay off so hard for a guy that'll probably give you like an average point per game.
Yeah, but apparently washed with his 92
Yeah.
points in the 2021-22 season. He's Washed, though.
Absolutely. And his
66 points the year before, washed. 84 the year before, washed. 110
Wow.
the year before that, cooked player.
Just a wash player.
Yeah,
He's
he's no good.
6
He's
points in
washed.
7
Future
games.
Hall of Famer that's been a point per game player pretty much his entire career since he was like
I
a
don't
rookie.
understand where that narrative comes from. Just because they look at the chart and see his EV offense and EV defense red. We use charts to determine players around here, so he's washed.
Yeah, I don't understand the narrative at all, but people like to create stupid narratives about these players for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because people sit on their computers all day crunching numbers instead of just going out there, like going outside and like, I don't know, like touching grass for a change.
Touching grass.
You don't even need to go outside to hang out with anyone. Like just step foot outside and stop crunching numbers all day at your computer. Yeah, I'm totally not taking a shot at anyone specific. I won't name who, but I'm totally not taking a shot at someone specific here.
Yeah.
If you know, you know, but I'm not gonna name drop. But I'm gonna wrap up the episode here because I gotta get going. The Mets play today 2 games.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I don't even know if I'm gonna.
I'll be there for all
recapping
9
them.
innings.
All 9? You mean 18?
Yes. Oh, it's a doubleheader, right?
Yeah, it's a doubleheader.
Oh my god.
Eagles play tonight. That I'm excited about. I'm more excited for preseason football at this point because there's literally nothing else.
Down bad.
Yeah, but leave a like if you enjoyed the episode. Subscribe if you guys are new. And next episode will probably be the Random Rangers one. We talked about this off air. I'll quickly give you guys the rundown. Next week is going to be the Random Ranger stream, hopefully. The week after, there won't be a stream. I'm going to be on vacation. But when I come back, we're going to do our predictions for the season. Even though we kind of did it during this stream a bit. But
Yeah.
so we kind of gave a
we
teaser,
we
but there's
got
still
a lot,
more.
yeah.
There's still the other divisions.
The
There's
whole West.
awards. I don't think I'm going to do playoffs though this year. I'm scared to jinx something this year again. But
Yes.
and then the week after that, yet again, not going to be a stream because I'm going to be on vacation again. And then the week after that, there will be a little preseason preview stream, maybe the night of their preseason game. And then we will finally start to be at the Garden, be at games. But for whatever reason, the NHL decided to give the Rangers 2 home games in all of October.
So
I
we
think they
kind
only
of have
have-
to wait till November, but
They only have like 3 home games the first like
they do.
5-6 weeks of the season. Like, I
It's
don't.
ridiculous.
underst-
They already go on that Western trip so early. Usually they do that around the.
I'm
like
treading.
November,
I'm treading
December.
the West Coast trip. I hate it so much.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's so freaking infuriating. But yeah, they have. I actually want to see how many home games. So in their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Their first 11 games, they have 3 home games. So, but that's still not as bad as that one year. Do you remember that one year where I think it was the 2019-2020 season where they had like
2020.
1 game in 2 weeks to start the season?
I think I do remember that. It was
Yeah, they played like the Oilers.
They start off against the Jets. Oh yeah, like the Oilers that day game. That was like the third game. Yes, I remember that. We played
Yeah.
in Jersey. Like,
Yeah, that freaking start of the season was stupid, but I already have tickets to the first 2 home games, so we will be
it's a
there.
Big W.
We will be there.
Yeah,
It's
it's time to
somewhat a
get there.
W for opening night because of certain reasons. But,
Some other circumstance.
yeah, and then I will be there for the first 3 home games. Nico, we gotta get you to tag along on that action for the Carolina game on November 2nd. Although I don't know if you cut out or not. I don't know if you're even here because you completely froze. But yeah, okay. Nico's not here anymore, but we'll get him to tag along probably for that game on November 2nd, where it's gonna be a wild game at the Garden with the pot. Oh, okay, you're back. Did you hear anything I
I had
said?
a bad lag. I had a bad lag spike there. I heard up until I probably didn't hear like the last 20 seconds of what you said.
I was just gonna say you gotta tag along with us for that game on November 2nd against the Canes. Sea Jets, Joey and I are hitting up that game together.
Really? Oh yeah, I'll definitely be there then.
We're gonna
Get a good
buy.
meet up.
We're gonna buy. I think 6 tickets. So we're
Yeah,
saving you a
I'm down
spot.
for
We're
sure.
saving you a spot for sure.
Save me a spot. I gotta put the hands together for that one.
Yeah, we'll definitely save you a spot on that one. You gotta tag along. You might have to tag along for that Nashville game. I irresponsibly bought tickets for those games, so they're affordable.
When do they play Nashville? Is that the?
That's the second game after the home opener
Oh,
on
I
the
was thinking
19th.
about, yeah. I'm definitely gonna hit up one of those games though. Yeah, definitely.
I'll let you know. I'm probably gonna have an extra ticket for that Nashville game, so
Sounds good.
all fair stuff to talk about. But we'll see you guys in the next episode, which will be a fun one, naming random Rangers.
Oh yeah.
Which that one's gonna be chaotic.
It will.
We'll see you guys then.